What up? What up? It's Ibn Webb, Quran, the Sum here, busting down another one of these official thanks things here. Actually, gonna rock with another Essex County all day edition here. Really looking forward to this. Hopefully, I'll get my fan on too much. Marques Bragg, hell of a ball player, even probably a greater person, man. You know, just one of those superheroes. You just kind of just as a youngin you just see somebody on the athletic field, court field, what have you. They're just kind of just doing their thing here, man. I just always just admired him, as far as what he's done and obviously what he continues to do. I know he's coaching and everything these days. So just looking forward to seeing him, chopping it up with him, what have you there. Like I said, I'm gonna try to, control my fan, So we're just gonna get to it.
How's it going?
Not bad. Can you hear me?
Yes, I could. Sorry about that, man. Crazy evenings lead to unforeseeable afternoons, man. Excuse me.
Nah. Pleasure's all mine. It's worth the wait here, man. Because I know if I ain't catch you now, it'll probably be the wintertime I catch you. Thank you again. My name is Ibn Webb, and I know I appreciate this, man. Just taking time out. I know life is crazy for all of us. First and foremost, you, yourself, your family, everybody holding up. You guys good?
Yes, they are. Thank you for asking. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. I saw some of the other interviews you've done before.
Oh, no, absolutely. This is just me and, I do obviously like a quick little 10, 20-second intro. And as I was coming on, like, pardon me if the fan come out of me a little bit right now while I'm talking to you. And I just say that just because, I just remember just being a little big head kid in Orange, man. Just, you guys is playing, Scott playing Orange and just everything with you here. Like I said, like you was like somebody I was just in awe. So like I said, so little boy in me might come out a little bit, man. So like I said, I really appreciate, like I said, you just taking time out as far as the kick it with me here.
No problem, man. Again, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Cool. So East Orange, is that where you born and raised, or you came from somewhere else?
Well, I'm from Newark, born in Newark. I'm what you call a hybrid kid. My parents were young, so I was born in Newark, but I always went to school in East Orange, from grammar school on up. When we were coming up, moving to East Orange was like moving up. So I've always went to school in East Orange, but I spent a lot of my free time back here in Newark in the weekday section.
Funny, interesting. You mentioned that I was born in Newark. I was born in Beth Israel.
Same here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And my parents lived on Maple Ave, right there, right off Hansberry.
I'm from Shepherd, bro, between Bergen and Osborne.
Yeah, absolutely. Then that's when bounced to Orange here. So you was so he's doing the Newark East Orange commute, all that stuff too, huh?
Well, no, my mom's, after she graduated high school, my father got married, and then they moved to East Orange. But when you're young, you spend your weekends with your grandmother, and you spend your weekdays here.
Nah, absolutely. So just even with all that, I mean, when did you just start your love for sports or your joy for sports? Was it always basketball, or was it something else?
Nah, my story is a little different. I'm your quintessential neighborhood kid. Neighborhoods were different back then, and parks were different. I played every sport, just like everybody in my neighborhood did. Growing up, everybody played football first. Primarily everybody was football players. I kind of morphed into basketball, but I always played sports. I always was competitive. And because I was kind of tall, I always gravitated towards older kids. So I've always played with older kids growing up.
Yeah, nah, good stuff, man. And then as far as playing in leagues, when you were before high school, like grammar school, middle school, did you start playing in leagues, or you just played around the way?
Nah, I played in the park, man. I played one league in the 5th grade at Our Lady of All Souls. I played with one of my best friends, Mark Brown. He was in the 7th grade. I was in the 6th grade. So excuse me, it was 6th grade, and that was the only time I played in a league.
Yeah. Okay. Now, even
before high school.
Just growing up, I mean, how was it for you? I mean, I know it's different now, man, like with these kids. I mean, I don't say it's wrong, it's just different. I mean, how was it for you in regards to just being out there, the whole till the lights came on kind of thing?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's exactly. When I moved to East Orange, we lived right across the street from Savile Park, like directly across the street. So I spend a lot of time in the park. Yeah, but back then, it was, like you said, it's a different thing. I'm actually active with kids now. And I try to tell them all the time that it's different the way you learned the game. You learned it then because you spent most of your time outside and you watched other people who were better. And if you wanted to compete and actually participate in the games, you had to produce some type of way. It didn't matter if you was funny or friendly or anything. You had to find a way So I believe, going into another subject a little bit, is you learned better because you wanted to learn. You know what I'm saying? If you had 5 friends on your team, maybe you was the only one that were pretty much good in basketball, but they knew how to play because they practiced what they were good in. One guy might just be a defender. One guy might just be a guy that sat in the corner and shoot jump shot. But if he did do that, he did that well. So kids are always taught something. They don't get to learn it for themselves first and then be taught off of what they learn. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting you say that too, just being in the park. I mean, you learn that teamwork, to your point. You might be the best person on that 5, but you learn how to make everybody else better. And you just mentioned like specialties. Right. They had somebody in the corner, they good in the corner or whatever the case is that jumper or what have you. And that stays with you. I mean, I know, like I said, it's a little different now, and I ain't trying to be, like I said, the grumpy uncle, but, but I know it's a little different as far as how things are. But back then, you mentioned Salvo, so you had your choice of courts you could jump on too, being a Salvo.
Oh, you was on the B court till you graduated to the A court. You ain't have a choice.
Yeah. Nah,
you sat on the B court till you moved up. Yeah.
Now, was the B court the one by the tennis courts, or?
Yeah, that was kind of like, it was back when we was playing. The B court that came later on down the line.
Okay.
It was the first 2 courts, but you was on the back part where the pool was at. So you had the first court where everybody see when you're walking, but you walk towards the back. It used to be a swimming pool over there where the new court is at when we was coming up.
Okay. Yeah. Now, like you say, you had to make your way to it, and you learned. I mean, you didn't want to get off that court because you might be chilling for a minute. Yeah.
Or go have some fun somewhere else, doing something else for the rest of the
day. Absolutely. And then did things change for you? You get to Scott? Were you always going to go to Scott? Was that the plan, or was?
Oh yeah. My parents' idea was, bro, you just gonna do better than us. You're gonna go to school. You're gonna get all good grades, and that's all they really were focused on. They didn't, we didn't have anybody in my family or anybody that was close to my family that played sports. I got a big family, but nobody played sports before. So on any level, seriously, we played in the street, but nobody played any organized sports. So it was actually rough, and Mr. Tons will probably get mad for me telling this story, but I tell it all the time because I love it. And it was critical for a lot of it's not a bad thing, but it was critical for, me becoming a good basketball player. Like I said, I got a large family, and Mr. Tons didn't particularly care for my friends. Okay. So my freshman year, I was, I'm an honor roll student. I'm getting good grades. Mr. Tons is my gym teacher. The only class I get a C in is gym, and I'm dressed for gym every day. Mr. Tons say to me, bro, I don't care if you get to be 6'8". I don't like you or your friends. You'll never play for me. And it was the first time. It wasn't degrading. I didn't feel like, oh my God, my life was over. I was like, wow, what's this? What's that about? And my freshman year, bro, we didn't have a freshman team. We just had a JV team. I sat the bench the whole year. And my sophomore year, I started playing, I started getting, I tried out again, and I got better. And I think I could have played my freshman year a lot, JV. I thought I would, but I didn't, what's the word? I didn't have the confidence, the back end, my parents wasn't involved with sports. So I didn't, it wasn't a big deal if I played, if I didn't play, if somebody, if I had 15, it wasn't a big deal. As long as I came home with good grades. Mm-hmm. But I had an uncle who was into that. And he used to encourage me to keep coming back. And I came back my sophomore year, and it was weird because I never saw what he saw at all. And my sophomore year, by the middle of the season, I was playing. I was starting JV at this time. Okay. I'm getting minutes. In the middle of the season, Rob James and them was like, listen, he got to play varsity. Mm-hmm. And they were the reasons I got called up to varsity. And it kind of just took off from there.
Now, even back then, that's when they had the whole quarters thing. You only could play a certain amount of quarters a night.
Yeah, they still have that now. But but I mean, I I mean, it wasn't. I didn't foresee me being that guy anyway. So any minutes I played was no minutes. You know, I was playing better on JV, but I wasn't the feature. You know what I mean? I was just playing better, and I played better against the guys we had on varsity. But I always knew there was I could play better than I was playing. I was always kind of holding back a little bit.
Now that holding back, once you got the varsity, it was time to just let that holding back go.
I never got nervous in the games. That was a good thing that worked for me. I was able to play the games like you would play when you come to my park. If you came from Elmwood and you came to Sidewalk, I was able to play high school games in that fashion. And then it just all happened at the same time. That very same year, we went to the States. I had a really, really good showing in the States with Rob James and them. And I went, and it was a different time then. I went to 5-star camp that summer, and I joined the North Grams AAU team that summer, and my life just totally changed from that moment on.
Yeah. I mean, talk about 5-star. How was that just going down and just being around the best of the best?
Never knew what it was. Me and Hassan Ellaby, who went to Scotland's Times. Now we were good again. So I said, hey, there's a camp you should go to. Because, you know, I really didn't know about 5-star. There's a camp you should go to. You know, my parents signed me up, of course, because they, you know, they was all about, you know, whatever you win, they're gonna support it.
That's right.
And again, my father was saying, he was reading the paper, and he said, if you think you're good, you should go out here and try out for these guys. He didn't know what AAU basketball, but it was an AAU for the North Grams. And when I went to 5-star, me and Hassan went, we had an amazing camp. I wound up getting, I made like the little all-star team, and I wound up getting MVP of the camp. And it was a great experience because, like you said, this is the first time I'm around guys from different areas that's supposed to be those guys. And, you know, that weekend, I went from that summer after we finished the States, St. Peter's offered me a scholarship my sophomore year. At the end of that summer, I had at least 30 scholarship offers.
And that was just off your sophomore year only? Off
my sophomore year, yes.
Now, you remember who was down there as far as?
Not Billy Owens. Billy Owens was Walt Williams was there from University of Maryland.
Maryland,
Gordy Winchester, who went to Seton Hall. He was a big high school star. My roommate, Marvin in college, Marvin Sadler. He was Mr. Basketball in Connecticut. Chris Smith from UConn. The point guard from UConn before Khalid Al-Amin and all those jokers. The low
was it Tate? Not that wasn't Tate.
No, Chris Smith. He was after Tate.
Chris Smith. Yeah, he's from Bridgeport.
Yeah, he's from Connecticut. Right. He was on the team. Hubie Brown's son. It was weird because, like I said, I wasn't in that life and I didn't know any of those guys. But for some reason, I was lodged with them, and they were all like what you call waiters. So they didn't pay to go to camp; they worked. So you went to camp for free, but you might be out there serving breakfast in the morning. But they were in a different dorm. But for some reason, I was in a dorm with them. But you know, that's just how it was. I didn't have to work, or I didn't get any special treatment. But I was in the dorm with all those guys. And it pretty much just, it motivated me because I always thought that if you wasn't from North or East Orange or Orange, that you wasn't tough. So I didn't respect anywhere else but Essex County. I really did.
Absolutely. And that's crazy as far as you just talk about the letters. I just remember all of that stuff too. Like, I mean, I know it's a new thing. I don't know how they do it now, but they just come to your crib, the coach's office, you just getting shoe boxes full of them.
I still do for the day to show my kids because they don't believe nothing. So, you know, you got to show them sometimes.
Yeah. So,
but in the moment, you don't realize what it is because you're just doing what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And when I joined the Y, now I'm with a new set of friends who are all doing that. And I know, like, I was the only one doing that. And Scott, you know, Derek Canada was before me, but he wasn't really recruited. But when I went and joined, after that 5-star set and I joined the Rams, I played up. I played with Eric Murdoch and Mark Smith, Mark Brown, and those guys. And like I said, and I got to see what was happening for them. Like up front, Anthony Avent, who was real kind of influential in my whole situation. Like Ant was the first guy that I saw. Him and Ala Abdenabi were the first, and Franz Valsey were the first big guys that I ever like came in contact with. And Allah was kind of in another level, you know. He was a McDonald's Parade All-American, and he was like 6'10". So that was kind of out of my reach. But Avant and Tone, Big Tone, was kind of something that I could relate to. So I just watched everything Avant did and followed it and copied it. Everything he did, I did. And it worked. It
Absolutely.
worked. It worked.
Now, you mentioned even playing with the Rams, so you was obviously with B and B
I'm
Crawford.
Mr. Wim. I'm with Mr. Wim and B. Mr. Wim was still fully involved at the time, and B was coming up next. And after the year I graduated, B took over everything full time after that.
Now, back then, when you talk about AAU, it's just like you are North Rams, Road Runners, and maybe who else is in Jersey. I don't even know who else is in Jersey, but those are like
we have New Jersey. It was the Road Runners, and it was the Rams, and then it was one more team. I think it was the Madison Square. One of them boys clubs had a team that was coming up, but they were kind of after us. But it was primarily the Road Runners and the Rams. That was it.
And then this is all your sophomore year, so you come back junior year. You.
Oh yeah, it's a new
another person. You're a whole nother person.
New day.
Yeah.
When I walked into that Rams tryout, because I had no idea what it was, and if you've been in the Newark Wild Gym, we walk in there, it was at least 150 dudes trying out, and now it's all the guys you see that's in the paper. Because I didn't even know high school ball was in the paper. Like my uncle had to tell me all that. Like I was just, like my parents didn't know. Nobody knew. So we was just. But now that when I found out, now I'm looking at the paper. So I see who Eric Murdoch is. I see who this person is. And I walk in that gym and they all there. And I was like, wow. And everybody dunking the ball and everybody is just like, wow. And Mr. Women B invited me to go to Virginia, to Massachusetts. I remember this because it was literally things that changed my life. They invited me to go to Virginia after that. I didn't know how I made the team, but they knew who everybody was prior, I guess. But I don't know how I made the team, but I made the team, and he was like, we going to Springfield, Mass for one of the shootouts, and I was like, oh well, shit, that's about to be the end of it for me. My mom's not going for that. Me going away, and I'm like, how much is going to cost? And they're like, nah, it's free. And I'm like, shit. So Mr. Wim talked to my parents, and like I said, I don't think there was another weekend pretty much that I was home from that moment on, and at least 3 to 4 weeks out the summer. Changed my life, literally, in more than one way.
And this is 10th grade. Yeah, that's crazy.
10th going to the 11th. So I'm in my 11th grade. So I'm playing with the seniors. I'm not even playing with my group. I'm playing with the class over
the 17 and under. The 17 and under?
I'm playing with the 17 and under. Yeah.
Now, who's on that squad? I know you mentioned Eric Murdoch. He's older than you?
Yeah, he's a year older than me. I'm all of them guys, young fella. Yeah, Eric Murdoch, Mark Brown, Jerome Bass, Earl Flanagan, Mo Gandy, Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
But that team, we finished second in the Nationals. The Newark Rams, man, we was a monster, bro. We always went to the chip. Yeah. I lost the chip 2 years in a row, but D-Rock, the group under us, they won it. They had a season for running it, but we was always the undersized, the most non-athletic looking team, but we always went to the chip. Always.
No, absolutely. I played for North Rams of 13, 14, and 15. We switched over, so I was with Brevin. We played with Brevin.
Oh yeah, well, Brad was my neighbor. We grew up together on Springdale Avenue.
Springdale Ave, yeah.
4 houses down. I remember when Brad couldn't even come off the porch.
Yeah. So I know about the whole North Rams thing, man. I know it's special to a lot of people, and I don't think they get the credit they deserve. The ones that oversaw B. Crawford and them, I don't think they get the credit they deserve. Even
they started all of this. They changed a lot of people's lives.
That's right. Absolutely. I definitely.
And didn't ask for a dime to do it. Never asked me for a dime. Never. My parents never a dime.
Yeah, and everybody stuck in them vans, taking them road trips, everything, man. Stories for days.
The best thing ever, man.
Yeah,
those guys are my friends to this day.
Absolutely. Now I can totally see that.
And our kids are best friends. Like we did a lot of growing together.
Nah, good. That's good stuff, man. And then you jump back to Scott. Is it more of a starting to become a walk in the park, just playing during the regular season, or?
Back then, Essex County was the truth. It was the best county in the state as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
So it was never an easy walk. We Group 2, so we always wound up playing against Shabazz. And then, you know, we was in the same conference as Orange. And at that time, if you remember, Orange was killing. They had Mike Boyd, Al Grant,
Right, Al
Mark
and J.
Robinson.
Rob and all of them.
Yeah. So I was a big man playing against people that had, you know, really good guards. So it was always Essex County basketball was tough back then. Everybody was good. Everybody was good.
Yeah. And you mentioned them Shabazz teams. You mentioned Avent, the Al Ray Blackman, all those guys.
That's all my brothers. We was all. That's my AAU group. Al Ray, Reggie Collins, Lance Miller. That's my 17 and up to.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You mentioned Lance Miller. He came from down Central Jersey just to play with you guys. You know, because
well, that's Eric Murdoch. That's Eric
Murdoch too. That's
cousin.
right. Cousin.
They all
the
live
Bridgewater
on
or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nah. So team success. I mean, I don't recall. Did y'all win the counties or the states or?
Man, I'm the king of getting your team to the county so when you graduate, they win it the next year.
Yeah, okay.
So we lost to the championship to Shabazz one year, the same way, and then we lost the next year to Orange. No, it was Orange the first year, and then we lost to Shabazz the next year, the same way. Hold on 1 second, I got a meeting. I'm just gonna hang up that.
Nah, no problem.
Sorry about that, bro.
Nah, ain't nothing, man. It's cool, man. Like I said, everybody ripping and running, man.
Technology,
yeah, so
bro.
You just talk about as far as you're always the king of getting there, just not getting over the hump, huh?
Yeah. The same thing happened in college. Hold on. Let me just.
Okay.
This is the time when I'm usually getting back in my meetings and my phone calls start lighting up from work for the next day. But yeah. So same thing happened in college. As soon as I graduated, we won the Big East championship the next year.
Yeah. So with all this success, I mean, in high school, you gotta make some choices as far as you mentioned all these letters or what have you. I mean, like, what did it come down to? Did you take all your trips, or you just knew it was Providence from the beginning?
Yeah, it was really down to two schools. Siena College, where my best friend Mark Brown had went, and they really recruited me heavy. And Providence, where Eric was at, who was another one of my really close friends at the time. And I couldn't take it, bro. It was it was demanding, man. Like every day for those months that there was open period, you might have 2-3 visits in that day. And now, as a kid who might not have that, I get it. It's an amazing experience, you know. But when you're actually going through it, you don't look at it that way. It becomes like, damn, man, I wonder when this process is going to be over. You know what I mean? Because once you do it a couple of times, it becomes standard operating procedure. So I wound up signing with Providence my junior year, going into my junior year.
Okay.
And I just, that way I could just play ball, have fun, and move on.
I mean, obviously we'll talk about Providence in a second. Did you looking back though, do you regret that, or you kind of like, should I wait it out?
So if you ask Mark Brown, that's the reason we all got regular lives right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't play a lot my freshman year. Actually, I had the same scenario I had at Clifford Scott at Providence. When Rick Pitino recruited me, he went to the Knicks, Rick Barnes came in when I came in with a whole new set of people, a whole new order, a whole new understanding of how and who he wanted to play. But my dad was like, bruh, you can't transfer. Because I was going to transfer to Siena. And he was like, man, you go to Siena, who's to say the situation is going to be different? I mean, he's not even talking from a basketball perspective because he didn't understand the scenarios back then. Yeah. He was just talking from a man, just trying to be a man, blah, blah, blah. Right. If you start something, finish it. You don't know what it's going to lead to. And then I always wanted to play in the Big East because at that time the Big East was the Big East.
The Big East, right?
Yeah, the Big East was the Big East, and I realized that I could compete. I just wasn't prepared my freshman year.
Okay.
So let me give it a shot and see what happens. You know, it wound up. You know, I don't regret it. Could I had a different season, a situation if I went somewhere else? Most likely. But I realized there that that's as closest to the league you're going to get. And if you could do that, then you got a shot. You know what I mean? Like, you really got a shot. And it prepared me to be a pro, man, because Dickie Simpkins, Mike Smith, Troy Brown, they were all recruited to take my spot. They all first team McDonald's All-American. They all were, Dickie was the 15th pick by the Bulls. Mike Smith was the 13th pick for the Sacramento Kings. They were not slouches, and they were recruited after my freshman year by Rick Barnes to come to Providence. And he told me they're here to take your spot. So, but they couldn't take it, so it all worked out. It's all good.
Yeah. He didn't realize where he was from. Like that.
He realized in the middle when Jersey was holding that team down. You see, he recruited Eric Williams and Ira Bowman. He went from Jersey all after that. But yeah.
Now, how was it just being in the Big East when it was you going to the Garden, you playing at the Carrier Dome, you playing down in DC? Like, just how was that, man?
Man, it's crazy. I think if you grow up like my kids, where this is part of the life for you, and you watching this, then it's different. But it's just surreal. And then you get kind of numb to the life because you done been on AAU. I done seen all these dudes. You know, I done been in these venues where it's 1 million people, but only people in the stands. Because when we played AAU, just to go back, it wasn't no parents in the stands. It was only coaches, only college coaches. My parents never went on an AAU trip ever. And I don't think anybody on my team's parents did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody did. It just wasn't what it was. And the stands wasn't filled with parents. It was coaches. But it was, because you on the sidelines, man, yelling with a deep voice, and you look at this big John Thompson. You're like, yeah. Or you go in the Garden for the Big East tournament, you're like, wow, this is the Garden. So yeah, it just prepared you for, like I said, like I was really trained for the life. I was trained for the life. I was trained to do the basketball life. You know what I mean? I was taught how to be able to take your skill set, take on a role. I was taught how to be effective no matter where you are, because I'm not a guard. I'm never going to be in control of the ball during the basketball game. But how do you still make an impression where they want to come to you and you become a guy that they go to? It's I don't know how you just figure you find your niche and you do that. But those experiences prepare me to be able to do that, because no opportunity that I ever had was laid out for me. I had to take everyone, grab it, and once I grabbed it, I had to keep it, because it was never just mine. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
These kids don't go through that. They've been unquit, been on 7 teams, and try to find a perfect scenario, which is never going to happen in the basketball life. It's not going to happen.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I know just, and you just mentioned as far as just coming from a big family, being at Providence and all that, man, just how was it just like, I can only imagine what your parents felt. Like just kind of, and I'm sure there's a new thing with the recruitment and all that. That was like,
it's a different day now. But what really helped me is I had great grades. I was an honor roll student until I started getting recruited. You know what I mean?
The game changed.
The thing was, you got to go to college. All right, well, I know I'm going to college now. So now, you can't be on me about, so I went from probably the top 10 to the top 10%. But Derek Canada was before me, and he was a great role model. Derek was like number 2 in his class, and he went to West. He was recruited to go to West Point. Something happened at West Point, but then he wound up going to Iona. But Scott was a good school to be a basketball player in, man. It was a good public school to do that, because you have the best of both academics and basketball. So, but Providence.
How was you?
That was a whole different thing. That's a whole different world.
Besides, I know there's a lot of Cape Verdes up there, so I know it could be some trouble.
That's a different story. that's the town itself. When you go to Providence, when you at Providence, it's like 25 Black people, and we all play basketball, boys and girls. You know what I'm saying? Their EOF comprises of people who live in China or Spain. It's not African Americans in their EOF program. So it was again a trying experience. And again, my father said, "Bruh, you can't come home no more. You got to stay. You got to stay your behind out there to figure it out." And I did, and it was rough. But me and Eric, we found our way, and we made that place our home. Like Providence really became our home by my sophomore year.
All right, good. Now least I'm glad you don't have that New England accent, so we
Nah,
good on that.
I kept it 100% Jersey the
All
whole
right.
time I was there.
Okay. Nah, then obviously outside of the high school accolades, the all states, the all Big East stuff start coming. To your point here, the switch with the coaches, and Barnes obviously want to bring his folks, but like you said, that didn't stop you. You start, you get all Big East selections and all this other stuff here. So when you start thinking about, what, I might get this pro thing a go. You start thinking
Like
about
I
it senior
said,
year,
man,
or
nah, I just watched Ant. Ant was doing it.
he just laid
Avent
the
was
blueprint.
doing it.
It's the
Shit,
blueprint.
if
Okay.
Avent could do it, I could do it, bro. I could do
Yeah.
it, bro. And then I
Yeah.
look at somebody else that's doing it. Cliff Robinson, I'm seeing all these guys that I'm playing with
Mhm.
and playing against that's doing it. And I'm like, man, I could do this. And then you got to remember back then, we had the East Orange Pro-Am League by
That's
Harry
right, in the
James.
summers, yeah.
So
Down at
when
Elmwood,
I
right?
was a young boy, like when I was 18, I played for Coach Brown, Mark Brown and Celtics.
Yeah, Mr. Brown.
So
Yeah.
we playing against Mason and Ken Bannister and all this in high school.
Mhm.
And we competing and we winning. And
Yeah.
so Mark Jackson, Rob Strickland, all the New York greats was playing. And we competing at 18 and 19. And we winning. Like we won that champ, we won that summer league at one time. Like 8 in a row.
Okay. Yeah.
We 8-peated that Harry James Summer League.
Mhm.
And that really lets you know that you can compete on this level because they wasn't coming to play. The crowds was crazy. It was hot. It was our Rucker Park. And
That's right.
And like I said, you see brothers like Avent right in front of me, Mark Bryant right in front of me. Man, and then you got Eric on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yo, I can do this. I can really do this. So it never felt like it was really out of the reach. And that was a good thing about being in a Big East program. Because now you got to see a guy who you competed with every day become a senior and didn't have an opportunity.
Yeah.
See, the hardest part about being a pro is getting in the door. You know what I'm saying? Getting in the system. Once you get in the system and you do what you got to do, you can maneuver a lifestyle for yourself. You understand what I'm saying? It's overseas, the CBA, but if you can't get in that door, it's hard. So I knew that if I just did certain things, I'm gonna get a shot. And that's all I want.
No, absolutely. I mean, to your point, playing the Mutombos and all these other guys, like I can do this. Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
So what do you do when your college career is over? I know. I know you don't get drafted, but do you go to any camps or?
Oh, right out. I'm in the loop. I go to Portsmouth. I have a really good showing. I lead my team in rebounding and scoring. But I'm a kid from North. I don't really understand the politics of basketball. I'm also coming from a place where if I succeeded, it's because I worked hard. I got my nose dirty. But then there's also another part of this: talking to people, communicating, opening yourself up.
Yeah,
those are things that I wasn't aware of at that time. But after that, I played in the USBL with a great team, which also, like I said, everything prepared me. The USBL was just starting. It was like a summer league, but a pro summer league. And I was on a team. I got drafted by a team called the Philadelphia Spirit. So I'm on a team with Dallas Common G's, Tony Costner, Tim Legler, Mike Anderson, Roy Marble. It's an amazing team with a bunch of pros and guys that's playing overseas. And they told me about it. So I wound up going to Utah's camp right after college. I went to their pro camp. And I got so many stories. Anyway, I had a great showing. Yeah. The head coach, Eric Murdoch got drafted by Utah.
Okay.
So, and the head assistant from Utah is Gordy Chiesa, who was the head assistant at Providence that recruited me to come to Providence for Rick Pitino.
Okay.
So because all this stuff is, relationships and real opportunities, all that stuff is how it happens, which in fact, I wish I knew more than that. So I went and I had a great camp. And they invited me back to camp and to vets camp. But the only thing with Utah was they wouldn't guarantee you money up front.
Okay.
And you would go to summer camp, you'd be finished in July, and vet camp ain't till October. Now, I played in the Rocky Mountain Review in Salt Lake, and then we go to the LA games to go play in LA, and I did all that with the Jazz. And I had a great camp. I was there with Corey Crowder, Dave Benoit, Ike Austin, All these guys
Mm-hmm.
they were my OGs, like my old heads. And
Okay.
so they took me, because the Eric, they knew who I was and they took care of me. And at the end of camp, not only did I have that, but I had like 5 overseas offers for guaranteed money.
Right.
For France, Turkey, and I think it was Spain. But I had 2 in France, 1 in Turkey, and 1 in Spain for a nice 6-digit payday, and
Absolutely.
they want you to go in August, the first week of August. So as soon as I get home, it's like fly, pack the stuff, and let's go. So I had to make a decision. It wound up being a little costly decision, but it was a decision, Mm-hmm. I went overseas, had a great year. Because I decided not to go back to Utah, they invited Stephen Howard from DePaul. And Stephen Howard wasn't even in the look. He was on that team at rookie camp with me. And no disrespect to Stephen Howard, because he wound up being a great player. But he wasn't in the mention. But because I didn't come back, Stephen went to veterans camp and wound up going to the championship with the Bulls for 2 years because of that. And I was overseas. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? I came back the next year. They invited me back to camp the next year. But now Stephen had already been there for a year.
Yeah,
and I'm behind
contract, him. He locked in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm behind him now, even if I'm having an amazing camp. So that drove me though, bro, because I realized, that was my opportunity. I chased the money, and I could have been my situation. And I stayed home that next year so it wound up being 2 years overseas. And then the next year I went to the CBA. I was in France my first 2 years, and I went to the CBA because I was drafted by the Grand Rapids Marques. Mm-hmm. I wound up having a great year. I was first team All CBA, newcomer of the year, played in the first team. Had a lot of accolades, did really well, and from that, I wound up getting my opportunity to play a full year with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah. So you get up in there, you're like, I'm here now. I'm here now. So,
yeah. But everything is, this thing is for a reason. So like, I was in the NBA, I was with Minnesota, but Minnesota wasn't necessarily the right fit for me. Okay. Utah was the right fit for me. Meaning, I'm a good basketball. I know how to play the game, but I'm not the most talented where, you put me on the court in the park with 5 guys and I'm going to just tear this game up. I know how to play the game within the rules, structure, stuff. Utah is set up for that. If you ever notice, guys will have amazing careers with the Utah Jazz that you never heard of, and then they would, time to get paid, go somewhere else, and then you would never really hear about them no more. Mm-hmm. That's because Utah was a place that everybody knew their job. Everybody knew what they were supposed to do, and they prepared you for those moments. So I would have thrived in Utah, just like, Stephen Howard did, and a couple of, people did, Ike Austin did. Right. All those guys I mentioned did. You'll know them from being at Utah. You might know Ike from Miami Heat too, but other than that, that's because it's a like-minded program. But I go to Minnesota, and it's talent-based. And it's a bunch of talented dudes on this team, man. So KG is a rookie. Tom Gugliotta, Christian Laettner, Doug West, J.R. Ryder, Mike Williams, Sam Williams.
Sam Mitchell, right?
Sam Mitchell, yeah, Sam Mitchell. Right. It was a talented team. So that was the place where you roll the ball out and the best man win. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that wasn't really the fit for me.
I see what you're saying.
But I was a rookie with, Jerome Allen, who's now assistant coach with the Celtics, who was the head coach at the University of Pennsylvania. Mark Davis who went to Texas Tech, and KG. We were all rookies together. So I was a 25-year-old rookie, but they was coming right out of high school.
Right out of high school, yeah. So how was that experience just playing that 1 year up there?
The most beautiful, amazing thing in my life. Just didn't know what it was when it was. You know what I mean? Like, you grind, you breathe. It was all those experiences were great experiences, not just for me, but just for my family. The ride was, we never expected that. So it was great. It was great. It was a really good experience. And my basketball experience, and one day we'll have a conversation about this, hopefully. That I like to share that story much as mine. My basketball experience led to other people being able to do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And now that was just as gratifying, and satisfying for me. And certain people in my life went through that every one of these experiences with me. You know what I mean? Like my mom's my best friends and stuff like that. So they when we got to Minnesota, bro, it was brother, we made it. We made it. We made it.
Now you get that 1 year. Now what is it? They don't. It was a 1 year contract, or they just?
It was a 1 year deal. So Bill Blair was the coach when I first got the job. I got the job because Flip Sanders was coaching in the CBA the same year I was there. And it's a funny story. They had this dude named Adrian Caldwell. He wound up playing for the Nets for a couple years, a big guy, big bruiser guy. And I was going through one of those months in the CBA where I was averaging like 30 and 20 or something like that, right? So we come to, I think he was coaching at Sioux Falls, Flip Sanders, who wound up being a GM because he was Kevin McHale's best friend. So we played him, and I'm having a hell of a start. And he tells the dude, Adrian Caldwell, look, if you score another point, you better take him out if you score another point, or whatever. Adrian tells me this later on down the line. So Adrian basically just punches me in my face. Boom. Ooh. My eye goes. And I was playing with a dude named Headache Smith. He went to University Arizona State. And I wound up having like 40 points from that point on. And I was yelling, I'm screaming, Headache throwing. I'm going, because it was like a Newark hood. It was like a hood. It was a home game, And I excel in those environments, and that's how I got the job in Minnesota. So Bill Blair was the coach, and I was getting minutes. If you check my stats in the beginning of the season, I'm like seventh man rotation. I'm getting some games. I had 17, 18 in the preseason. I'm balling, but we not winning. And so we realized we not winning, and it becomes a numbers thing. KG is a rookie. Right. It's me or KG. what's the argument?
Yeah. I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play or KG gonna play. I remember I came back after not playing a couple of games, thinking I gotta bust somebody in practice. I gotta tear their behind up. I gotta give it. So I come to practice the next day. I'm balling, and Goog say, "Yo, bro, do your thing." You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. I'm gonna play anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that moment, it was like, okay, Mark, what do you want to do? Do you want to be famous, or do you want to get your bread? And for me, I'm the type of player where I got to play to stay good. I'm not talented that way. And my ego and my pride was like, dog, if we win, I wanted to have something to do with you. If we lose, I want to have something to do with you. So I was cool overseas. I was comfortable. I was like, man, I'm ready to go back overseas. And I went to Cleveland camp, and I was there for 2 weeks with Mike Fratello. After that year I did. And
he's a Jersey guy too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another story. But anyway, and then I wound up going on. I went back overseas and finished my career back up overseas.
Yeah. What countries were you in?
What countries wasn't I in? I did the mainstream. I did the main line. Italy, France, Spain, Turkey. I was in all the major FIBA leagues and all the top divisions. But I also played in the Philippines. I also played in Venezuela. I also played in Puerto Rico. I also played in Brazil. So, I did the whole thing. Like, it was times where I would go from Europe and then go to the Philippines right after, because that would be during the summer months. Okay. And be going for like 2 years straight. It'd be crazy. I hated it. But when the money would come, I'd be like, oh, well, we get over it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, as far as just ripping and running, throughout the world here, like, as far as like, it had to be a downside to that. One, it's probably just you. I'm not sure, again, if
I had my, at the time, wife with me who did most of the traveling, did most of the stuff with me. Okay. But it was no social media. You couldn't share your experiences. People wouldn't believe the stuff I was doing. They wouldn't believe who I was with or the life that I was living over there. So you couldn't share it with nobody. And then, quite frankly, unless you was dealing with somebody who was doing the same thing as you, you couldn't really talk about it, because you don't want to seem like you're bragging, even if you're just talking. You know what I mean? So yeah, you miss funerals, but I'm used to it now. You got to figure I've been going since high school. Right. I never spent a whole summer home. We always had to stay at Providence. I might be home for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, then I'm out. Yeah. I never was home for Christmas, or I never had a spring break. I never went home for Thanksgiving, and I never did that since Scott. We was always in a tournament, Maui Classic or something. We never can come home. So
And then
But
even with all that, no, I was gonna say even with all that, I know every good run comes to an end sometimes too, man. Did you ever think about like what was you gonna do once you was able to stop playing, or you just fell
yeah,
into what you're doing now?
you dream about it. You hope that it lay out the way it lay out. But I
Yeah.
guess whatever God's plan is, I wind up doing it. I was always in the real estate.
Okay.
You from East Orange, so you know Hatari.
Atari, yeah, no, absolutely. I know Atari.
Atari is a mentor of mine, and
Okay.
he used to tell me all the time, Keith, when you get your money, you need to get into real estate. And that's pretty much what I did. So, and I always wanted to coach. I wanted to coach in East Orange, but I wanted to coach high school ball. And that's what I'm doing now. I coach high school ball. I'm at North Tech, and I've been doing real estate from every aspect. Now it's kind of coming full circle. I started out as buying houses and flipping them. And then when the market changed, I got on the construction aspect, and I just focused on the construction. Okay. And I've been blessed to be with some good programs and good organizations that help me maintain through those troubling times. And now it comes full circle. So now I'm actually in a position where I'm a real legitimate minority developer now. So, and all those years of doing it from the different aspects prepared me for this moment, the same way basketball did, so it all comes around.
Absolutely, man. And you mentioned coaching. How was it just because you coached also for a second, like under Marques at Jersey City too?
Yeah, I was with Marques in JCU.
Okay.
And then and I wasn't ready then. I was still coming off of basketball and figuring my life. But that's my brother. So he's like, look, you're gonna come here with me. You're gonna get you something. I really didn't have no say in the matter. So I did that with JCU for 2 years. And he was like, you should be a head coach. And I wound up coaching at Orange, because now I got kids. I got 3 sons. And I'm looking at the landscape and I'm like, dog, I know better. So I'm not gonna put my kids into this nonsense. So I was trying to prepare myself for a public school experience, that my kids can go to a public school and have a real opportunity. So I was living in Orange. I lived in Orange after I graduated. I lived there for like 20-something years. Okay. And I wound up being assistant coach for Jake Martin, for 2 years at Orange. Had real good success. I thought I was going to be the next head coach, because that was the plan when I took the job. Okay. And that changed, and I wound up going to North Tech. And man, my son goes to North Tech. My oldest doesn't play ball, but he's an excellent student. And North Tech as a school, man, it's really a great school. Absolutely. And
they're remodeled and everything, I think, too. I think last time I went through
actually, they're closing now. We're getting ready to close now for 2 years, because they're getting ready to do another remodeling. Like our basketball. So the basketball facilities and the gym and stuff, that's all new. That's all state of the art new. The entrance way, our technology rooms and stuff like that, that was all new additions. But now they're getting ready to do even more. But not just like when you go to Payne, you see how beautiful the school is, Payne Tech and all that stuff. Not just that, but like the school itself, man. Our kids go to college, and not only do they go to college, they stay in college. I'm just talking about the kids in general, and that's kind of the culture of the school. Like we don't have no violence issues. My son, and I say this openly to people all the time, my son is a nerd, and he got to be the nerd he wanted to be and have the high school experience he wanted to have. And now he's looking at it like he's the finalist for like 2 scholarships, 4 rides, 4 years, and he's been accepted to every school he applied to. We're just trying to see in the next week who's going to give us the most financial support. And now, I got twins that's coming up, and they're about the basketball thing. So that was trying to set up for them to have an opportunity, and for the kids, because not to put no shame, but there's a discrepancy, and I believe there's a difference. Like a lot of stuff that's happening now is not for the same reasons, and you're not getting the same results. So if I can, and I believe if you're nice, bro. So they're gonna find you. Absolutely. They're gonna find you, and what's wrong with going somewhere and building something from the ground up and seeing it through, instead of trying to go to the next best situation? And I believe if you can do that, and if you can be mentally tough and you got the skill set, bro, you can write your own ticket in today's game.
Absolutely, and that means more. And it's interesting you mentioned North Tech. I mean, obviously the basketball tradition they have from back when you played, and the Tariqs and all those guys, and obviously I knew about the new gym because when Joe Jordan was coaching, I actually went down and saw him coach. I went down and saw the new gym. But it's interesting you mentioned even the coaching question, even just for everything going on. Like, how did you? Now this was your first year or second year at North Tech?
This is my fourth season.
Excuse me, fourth season. So let me ask you, just for all the unrest and all the crazy stuff going on, like, how were you with your players? Again, like you got from national anthems to the police stuff. Like, what was your communication with the families and your kids?
With this year, with the COVID, you're talking about with that situation?
I'm not even jumping into COVID. I'm just talking about like the racial.
General? Oh, it's different, man, because you got people dealing with opinions and idealisms as opposed to what a reality is. And I always looked at it from this perspective. Parents are parents. When I came up, my parents wasn't coming to talk to my coach while my son's not playing. Mm-hmm. So you got to figure out why you're not playing. So with this, people are involved in a thing that they don't understand the dynamics of. And they're being led by people who don't understand what's going on in this game. So you got these handlers, you got trainers, and these are things I got to compete with as a person who's been through the cycle, who could actually pick up my phone, and about 8 people you see on ESPN is in my phone, and you can see we got a call history, so we actually talk. And then you can look at it and see, another you can see about a whole C-section with nothing but coaches who are my friends that are head coaches or assistant coaches at colleges. Right. So that aspect, I have the relationships. So I know what coaches look for. I know what they want. And I've been through the experience on every level. So, but I'm competing with a guy whose mission is different, you know? And sometimes when you're telling somebody something they don't want to hear, it's hard for them to digest it. Right. You know what I mean? But I do get parents who believe and let me do what I'm supposed to do. But it's getting better because kids are, because after the fact, they realize what I'm saying is true, you know, and then, which I tell them while I'm telling you, you're going to come back to me when this is over and tell me that I was true. And what can I do now to help you? You know, and I do whatever we can. But example, this year was this is my class that I got when I graduated, when I came in.
When you came in, right.
And one kid, out of all of, I had 2 kids that survived. Everybody else, I never forced anybody out. I'm not a yelling coach. I'm not a demanding coach. I'm a demanding coach, but I'm not a yelling coach. But we really don't prepare our kids for the life of basketball, being a basketball player. And when you put them in a situation and it's real, then they get their feelings hurt, and then it's not the right thing. I'm never about breaking the kid down. I want to see him do what I did because I wasn't supposed to do what I did. So if you was really into it, you could probably take this to another level because I wasn't the best. You know, I knew playing hard was my talent. Talent wasn't my talent. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So I have a kid this year, Kelvin Marshall. I had him since he was a freshman. I never recruit kids. I don't go after kids. If they want to come, my school sells itself. He wound up, he's a D2, D3 player, but he had 8 offers for schools, not just basketball, but academic. He wound up choosing, in JC, he had all the NJAC schools. He wound up choosing Rutgers North, and he's going on a full presidential scholarship, room, board, and everything. That's the game. That's what we're here for. Yeah. I'm here for, when I had this conversation with his mom 3 weeks ago, she's saying to me, Coach, I'm so tired of this. I can't wait for it to be over. I just want him to choose a school. That's a great conversation to be had. That's a great problem. That's a good problem. For a parent to be. That's what it's for me. Period. Point blank. And then at the end of the day, I want your son to be a young man because you can't be a basketball player if you're not a young man. And that was the biggest revelation I learned this year. And I like to share this and I talk to people. So that's the biggest revelation I had this year. I came in here trying to coach kids the way I was coached, but they weren't the kids that I was. They weren't mentally tough. They didn't know how to respond under duress. They didn't understand that when things is never going to go your way, you still got to, those things, if you don't get those things down, you can be the best coach in the world, but as soon as adversity hits, they're going to revert back to their habits. And that's what, and this year I focus more on growing them as young men, teaching them accountability, not giving them that out that they look for with the deepness of their heart. They look for an out, but they search for an out. So for instance, if you're getting your behind kicked in the game, it's the referee's fault. It's the stupid plays. It's everything other than the fact that you're not playing hard enough that this kid is kicking your behind.
Mm-hmm.
But once you grasp the fact that I got to suck it up and do better, all those other things tend to fall in place.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was my biggest coaching revelation this year, because I watch these coaches, they come in, they got the videos, they got the games, and they got all that. As soon as you put a full court press on these jokers, it's over.
Mm-hmm. You still got to coach with all that cute shit. Yeah, you still got to coach with it.
You still got to be able to perform under duress.
Right.
I don't give how many times. Look, everybody know everybody plays. So why can a team like when I was coming up, like a Seton Hall Prep executed and we can't? Because we knew what they was going to do. They still did it because they were mentally tougher than we were. And that's real, a lot of times what 85% of this basketball thing boils down to. Basketball IQ and mental toughness.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's skill set is the same, and pretty much the talent, once you get to certain levels, that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, and I'm sure this year was different with the whole COVID pandemic. I mean, because obviously a limited schedule, no state tournaments and all that other stuff. But you can only imagine. I mean, despite the disappointment, I think with these kids not having experienced all of that, but the character later on in life, like they're gonna get from this. They might not see it now, but looking later on, like what they went through with all of this. I mean, yeah.
It's rough. I feel bad for them because of things that they can't get back. You know what I mean?
Right.
They can't get back. But like you said, you learn how to adjust. And man, I always tell people, like, if you really do this basketball life for all that it is, it prepares you for everything, man.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It prepares you for everything, bro. So how to deal with people from a different place, how to talk comfortably in those environments, how to deal with, the media and public scrutiny. It teaches you a lot, how to just do a job under duress. Yeah. I just tell the kids, all my kids this year, I just be like, bro, if all y'all was in the military, y'all will all go to basic training for a whole 6 months. Get yelled at, screamed at, cursed out, and all this stuff is life and death. And the first gunshot that would go off when y'all jokers was in the war, y'all all stand up and be shot dead, yo. It'd be crazy. You just went through 6 months of training.
Oh, yeah.
To land and stay low and get on the ground. As soon as they shoot the first gun, y'all all go stand up and say, oh my God, and all y'all gonna be dead. Because that's the way the new kids are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. What is sports giving you that stuck with you to this day? You may have said it while we've been talking, but if you just think about it.
Creating resources and relationships.
Yeah.
How to see something nobody else could see. And believe in it and take one foot and put it in front of the other every day. Everybody can say, this is what you got to do to be a basketball player, be a pro, but nobody know unless you was a pro or you was a coach or you was a basketball rat where you was just in that life. You don't know. You're watching somebody else's video. And when you watch the video, you don't know the science behind the video. You just know the video. Like, so if you watch a game, you seeing the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. You have no idea what got to the point to see the game. All the stuff that went into what you got to get to see a game and to be able to play in that game. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So people don't understand that they skip steps, but I learned that. And I learned that you can do anything you put your mind to. Man, I wasn't supposed to do none of this stuff. None of it. Yeah. I'm a joker from Shepherd Ave. I'm just tall, but I'm a joker. That wasn't in the cards. I did 13 years as a pro, man. You couldn't tell me I was going to do that, bro. You couldn't tell me I was going to do that. Yeah. So, and I watched what basketball has done for some of my closest friends who might not have been able to, become a pro, but they wound up going to college and changing their life and doing something that you never thought they was going to do. And that's basketball. And them same principles, we still kind of live through the day. And those are things I'm trying to teach my kids and the kids that come up. And back to what we were saying before, this is where the whole thing goes full circle. Like, we grew up in the neighborhood. So the way we absorb and process information is totally different. Kids today start out in camps. They start out on teams. So how do you start out on a team and you don't understand how to play the game? How do you go to a trainer before you know what you actually do? So now you got somebody else creating your game, which may not be your game.
Mm-hmm.
When we came up, by the time you got on the team or you went to a coach, you was already the best player in your park or the best guy in your school or the best,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? You was somebody somewhere and you had an understanding on how to play the game. You might could only go right, but you was nice going right. And because of that, I can now teach you how to go left.
That's
Because
right.
if you really go right, they can't stop you going right. You're going to master that, and then we're going to give you that left to make you real nice. But the way we learn it now, we're going to teach the kid to use the left just as much as he use the right, and he never going to develop his right to see that his right is special. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Nah,
So,
make a whole lot of sense. Make a whole lot of sense.
And even back to how we learn, I say I watch people in the park. I sit there and I watch somebody in front of me play. I mentally said, oh, okay, he did this, 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 and this. And then I go home and I do it. And I watch it and I'm teaching myself this. I could take that same move, send my son to a trainer for 3 months, and he'll never figure out how to use it in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not learning it from himself. Somebody's teaching it to him. Just like you don't sit there, I don't sit there in the room with my kids when they playing video games to tell them you got to push X triangle square to get to the next level at this amount of time.
Right.
Somebody either on YouTube, they figured it out, or somebody, they told them once and they mastered it after that because that's what they wanted to learn on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main difference to what's going on with our kids now. They're being taught. Somebody teaching you something and you learning something for yourself, man, it's two different things, unless that's really, really, really what you're doing.
Nah, that make a whole lot of sense. And as you're saying, I think about that. I mean, yeah, because I got a little one, a little girl, so it's just kind of like, yeah, that, you know, it's kind of, I'm letting her just feel it out, and then to your point, then go from there.
The best thing I did with my boys, and at first, I taught them every sport except basketball. First, we just played basketball because it was everywhere. You know, all my best friends is coaches, so they was always in a gym. They was always in. So I didn't have to say you gonna play, but they wound up playing ball. Mm-hmm. So they always learned, but they was on T-ball teams. They played flag football. They didn't play ball until, you know, older. But anyway, they knew how to play by the time they got on the team. And my whole thing was when I saw that they had, you know, skills or potential, is now you're in an environment where everybody, 85% of people are learning how to play the game wrong. And I mean, from a mentality standpoint and from a common sense standpoint. So you probably didn't want me on your podcast, man. I'm gonna talk your head off.
No, we good, man. I'm enjoying every minute of this.
So you learn the game different, or you're being taught how to play the game different. So look at it like from this. I don't value points and stats at this age. I value attitude and what you do when shit not going your way and what you do when the game not going your way. So we are told from a young age how many points you had, how many rebounds you had. Oh, that's a good game. So there's only a few Kobe's. There's only a few prolific scorers in this world. Mm-hmm. And everybody's not a prolific scorer. But if you're taught that scoring is the way to define your game and how you play, evaluate your game, then you're setting yourself up for failure because all you're working on is offense and shots, which you may not be capable of doing at a certain level. So what happens when you're not doing that? You're sitting down.
Or you stop growing and all that stuff, yeah.
But no, but what if you go in the game and you miss your first 2 shots? You're not playing D. You're not making nobody else better. You're not raising the intensity level. You're not doing anything else. So I might as well sit you down. Mm-hmm. But I learned, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to bring this energy. My man ain't going to be the man that's scoring defense. I'm going to master these plays and organize so I know how to not only get off on these plays, but I'm going to be able to, help other people get off. Now I got trust. So now I can miss 2 shots. And my coach said, no, keep his ass in the game.
Yeah.
So how you score points? You can't score points sitting on the bench. You can only score points if you're in the game.
That's right.
So if I'm in the game for 40 minutes, I got a higher probability to score 2 points this quarter, 4 points that quarter, 3 points in this quarter, and end up with 15 points. Mm-hmm. Then a kid that comes out and he done missed his first 3 shots, he's soaking, he running back on D, his man is scoring, now you sitting down for the rest of the game. Because there's only a few Kobe's, there's only a few people who are going to miss 5 in a row and then going to make 8. Mm-hmm. There's only a few people who can do that. Mm-hmm. So if you teach your kid to play the game like that, he gonna lose. Yeah. He gonna lose. So I try to teach him how to play, have fun, and if you can do this and you can compete close to these guys who are working every day. Wait till you get to the 8th grade and we start putting in work. If you right there with them without putting in this work, wait till you start putting in the work, because if you love this game and you're blessed to be able to take it to another, if you want to do this game and you're blessed to have the opportunity, you got to love it, bro, because it ain't fun at all.
That's right.
Your body ain't fun. The politics ain't fun. You broke until you not broke. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's no, you gotta want to be there to be there. And if I break you down mentally, if I over drill you and I kill you before you in the 8th freaking grade, I'm gonna kill your dream before you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of parents do. A lot of them kill these kids' dreams, not understanding what it is to have this dream. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. You ain't supposed to be no dream killer. Absolutely. Question: as far as I know, you do some work around the juvenile justice too. With some of that stuff you got going on?
It's the same concept, bro.
Okay.
Same concept. Young black men who just didn't know. Mm-hmm. I got to tell the kids, I'm not in the so what we are is a program. We're a state-run program, which is the same as Jamesburg and all these other prison jail-like scenarios, but we're not a jail. We're in the middle of the mountains. We don't have correction officers, but you can't leave. You have to program. You have to go to school. You got to, whatever your programming is, you have to program.
Okay.
And I basically, I let them know that I'm not here to put you in jail. That's my job. I'm here to mentor you and keep you safe and make sure that you kind of come out of here with something. But it's just sad, man. It's just a cycle, bro. Yeah. It's a cycle of us not knowing and us not giving our kids a true opportunity. It's really, it's disheartening, but you get some kids that, that come out of this successful. Again, I'm from an era where some of my best friends graduated from Jamesburg, and went to school and played ball and made lives for themselves.
Right.
So I understand this dynamic. Some of those stories I want to tell you about one day is from my brothers who come from this, who, if you ask 20 people in that time what this kid would be, they would have said they were going to be a criminal. So, but they wound up changing their lives and putting doctor in front of their name now. So I try to tell those type of stories. I try to show them what I had to go through. And the good thing about that for me is I'm from here. That's so depending on where you from, I can call somebody and be like, what? You know what I'm saying? And I can call somebody that you respect in your community and they'll be like, listen, that's my man, woo, woo, woo. And I got a new handle on how I can approach this kid. So, I enjoy it, man. It's not work for me. It's not work at all.
Nah, absolutely. I hear you. Outside of this stuff here, I do a lot of work, a lot of trainings and a bunch of other stuff. Actually, we've been doing a lot of stuff around Black males and stuff, like colleges. We're doing communities and everything. I'm up in Connecticut now, but like I said, we've been going all over the country, like doing this stuff. I mean, so it's been great to variety of topics, but that's like definitely one that we hit on, from the incarceration. We hit on the family. We hit on the historical piece. A lot of people they only know your typical stuff.
Yeah, this stuff, what I'm saying with our kids and the way the system is set up, it's really disheartening.
Absolutely.
My roommate, all of them from Connecticut. Marvin Sadler was my roommate. Chris Watts, he's a big coach out there in the Catholic school sector. He just won another state championship out there.
Yeah.
So he coached at St. Joe's.
St. Joe's down there,
Yeah. But I say if I grew up now, man, I'd be the man. God, dog, these kids is terrible, man.
Yeah.
You can't blame them. You can't blame them. When you got, I'm trying to be politically correct. When you got dummies leading dummies, man, something not good is bound to happen.
No, I hear you. And they don't get set up properly or how they should. When the old caregivers definitely got opportunity to do that. I totally get it. I know I done took some of your time here, but I'm not gonna let you go without throwing you on the spot here with a few questions before we bounce. Sure. When you're up in Jersey, I've seen you in Jersey. We taking the Turnpike or we taking the Parkway?
I'm Parkway, dude.
Parkway, all right. You EO guys, so what we talking? We talking Main Street or Central Ave?
Ooh, I'm from the other side of town. I'm Springdale Ave, baby. Main Street, take Main Street.
You take Main Street, okay. We'll keep you these stars too. Actually, we will keep it staunch. I mean, I know you like to go out maybe once or twice back when. So what you hitting? You going 88? You going to bogeys?
Ooh. Ooh. That's two different eras. It was the peppermint bogeys. It was the mental bogeys. It was the mental bogeys. 88 was more like my college days, but it was bogeys was my spot. I did a lot of stuff in bogeys. Bogeys is still my spot. My man owned it today. You know what I'm saying? DJ Nugget is my brother. Marques is my man. He owns it now.
Nah, good stuff. You got sandwiches at Harris Diner.
Damn, are you killing me? Randy, my man. So I love sandwiches. I'm going with sandwiches.
You gonna say what you get from sandwiches?
Chef salad, chicken chef salad.
When you was off the salad kick,
when I was running Italian cheeseburger.
All right. About to say, we wasn't hitting them salads as no teenager. All right.
Italian cheeseburger, yeah.
Nah, what Scott or Providence?
At Harris Diner, I was getting the French fries in the bag.
French fries, yeah. No, I remember that absolutely. Scott or Providence?
I'm Scotty Dog, baby. Scotty Dog.
Yeah.
Scotty Dog. Scott was a great, bro. You know anybody who went to Scott in the 80s? They love Scott.
Yeah.
They love Scott.
Yeah.
When I first moved to East Orange, bro, I had 3 dudes in my class whose father played for the Giants. That's what East Orange was back then.
Yeah, for them to live right there in EO. Absolutely.
Live right there in EO. Lance Boston, his father was playing for
Lance. I went to Macklin.
His father was actively on the Giants when we was in grammar school together. You know, in the editing. So East Orange was a different place back then, man. It was an all right place, man. You had a nice little mixture of everything.
Yeah. Sarvel or Elwood?
Oh, I'm Sarvel, baby. Sarvel Park. Sarvel Park.
Best game you ever played in your life on any level?
I had some really good games against Georgetown. Some real good games where I played better than I thought I would ever play. Had some good games against Georgetown. I was not, bro. I'm gonna say, like, I wasn't that guy. Like, I regret it now. I don't have videos. I'm checking for them now. Okay. I only got articles because of my parents. I never could watch myself. I never could read about myself.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I didn't take stock and stuff like that. I'm teaching my kids the same way. Like, I never went after the game and said how many points I had. I never did that. I was kind of embarrassed to do that. So I have games where I know I did my thing.
Okay.
And I played better. Like if I played against Georgetown when they had Alonzo on the Kembe, I was super. I was going to have an out-of-body experience at least for 2 or 3 minutes during that game. It was going to happen one way or another.
Yeah.
Some shit was going to happen. Some stuff was going to happen. I was like, oh, snap. I just did that. That was going to happen one way because that was but I can't sit here and say because I had games in the Philippines where I had 50-something. So,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, take a pick. No, I know. So what best team you ever been on?
Best team? It's funny you want to hear this. My summer league team, the Celtics.
Summer league teams, okay.
The Celtics.
The Pro-Am teams, yeah.
The Pro-Am team we had. You ask anybody, we ran that league in the 90s. We ran that. That team could have beat in our prime. We could have beat a pro team or two. We could have.
It was you, Mark Brown. It was who else?
Marv Andrews,
okay.
Wayne Womack from Arizona, Chris Brown, Ab Madison.
Ab, yep.
Yeah. He was the young boy, my cousin D-Rock.
D-Rock, I know D-Rock.
Herm Austin.
He went to King.
Yeah, King went to King.
Yeah.
And Show Mark Brown. Well, we was nice, man. We was nice. We went back to back over there.
Yeah. Now, what about somebody who should have made it, whether it was at the college level or the pros?
It's a lot of people. Mark Brown should have made it. He was just ahead of his time. D-Rock should have made it. He was ahead of his time. James Hargrove should have made it. He was ahead of his time. There's a lot of jokers around here who was ahead of who was ahead of their time, like, you know what I'm saying, undersized position or, stuff like that. There's a lot of good players out here.
No, absolutely. We're going to keep Essex County on this one. You're all Essex County team. You're 5. You can include yourself or not. That's up to you.
That's hard, bro. I'm biased because I'm Essex County in my era. Like I don't know the new kids.
Yeah, we can go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We can do your era. Absolutely.
With my era.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man.
Who at the guards? What if that helps? So you just gonna
I'm biased, man. You got Eric
bigs with the bigs.
You got Essex County guards. You got Bragg. You got shit. There's a lot of us, man. You got Ira was a great high school player, man. Yeah. Ira Bone was a great high school player.
Absolutely.
Then you got Avon, you got E-Dub, Eric Williams.
I know you got Ed Foster too, Mitch. Right?
And Mitch came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mitch ain't do it the traditional way. He did it the other way. You know what I'm saying? Mitch wound up going to St. John's and having a great career. It's a lot, man. I can't do that. I can't give you a 5. I can give you a 10 or 15, but I can't give you 5.
It's the fun of it. We're gonna leave somebody out. That's the fun of it. There's no hard feelings.
You give me some names and I'll be like, all right, I can't.
You just said a bunch of them for me. Yeah, you just said a bunch.
You got Avon. You know, I'm always give Avon his due because what Avon did for me, I was able to do for Eric Williams. So it was the same. You know, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
Hey, my phone about to die, man.
All right, I'm gonna finish up. All right, let me wrap up. As far as what's the best part about being Marques Braggs?
Being able to walk into every door I walked out of and being real comfortable in my own skin, whatever I do.
Absolutely. And with that being said, what advice would you give a 17, 18-year-old Marques Braggs?
Man, you got to open yourself up to more things than what you know in your environment because it's a little bigger than what we came from. You know what I'm saying? As far as the other part of this business, the socializing and being more politically correct in our fashion. You know what I mean? Sometimes hard work ain't just enough. It takes a little bit more.
Absolutely. Nah. Well said. I know, like I said, your phone died. I just want to say thank you. Like I said, when you jumped on, like I said, I'm like a little kid. Just because, again, like I said, I'm that boy from Orange Middle trying to get into a Scott Orange game, can't get in.
I got them games on tape, Ed.
Oh, so you do got So I got
the Scott East Orange games.
Scott Orange. I'm an Orange guy, so
yeah,
Scott
I got
Orange.
that game at Orange High School where it was packed.
Yeah.
It was on TV3.
TV3. Yeah. So, but I say all that to say, like I said, just thank you for the memories you done gave all of us, man. I mean, and then just to listen to you now, your story, and I know it was only a quarter of your story, but I appreciate just a little bit of time here just to hear some of this stuff and what you got going on. And like I said, I really, like I said, really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm like a little kid right now. Like I said, I was that big head, 6'7", still a big head, but I was the 6'7", 8th grader back then, just trying to just see you and just read about you and everything else, man. And I appreciate it. Congrats also. I know you got into the East Orange Hall of Fame as well too recently. Tabari went in with me. So Tabari went in with you. Yeah, me and him, obviously, we're a year apart at Immaculate. But like I said,
Tabari, I was Tabari's counselor at the Orange Walk.
Because his body wound up dying on me, but it's all good. I mean, heard enough, more than enough here. And like I said, I just wanted to thank Marques again. Like I said, I'm just like a little kid right now. Just fanning out a little bit. A lot of these guys, I fan out on everybody, especially those I came up with. These like my everyday heroes, include my family and everybody else here. So I'm just going to sign off on that. So with that being said, I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.